This is the Glitch Panopticon Season 2 Chapter 5. In this episode, we will be talking about how the agenda includes an active terraforming project, which the left calls global warming. We will also be talking about how our cell phones are being used to transmit infrared data to the central monitoring array, to allow the system to synchronize our bodily rhythms, heart rate, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems with the group. Finally, we will be talking about how radium-226 present within our bodies, absorbed through water sources of air, and consumed in our diet, permits the transmission of information to parallel worlds. To be clear, this is not a denial of man-made global warming. I am not saying that we are not putting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which is altering the climate. What I am saying is that our contributions to global warming are likely only part of the problem. Available to the aliens, interdimensional beings, are technologies which exist for the purpose of terraforming. These technologies, I would suggest, are supplementing the carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases that mankind emits into the atmosphere. However, it is important to note that as this is a directed process, part of the agenda, which is designed to make our planet more hospitable to alien species, it occurs through the management of the Panopticon. The terraforming project also involves megastructures, such as is or was under construction on the lunar surface. It includes an active implementation of technologies by alien species outside our observation, trapped as we are within the bounds of the Panopticon. The agenda, thus, being leftward-leaning, includes ideological components, which make our societies more likely to accept and integrate alien species into the fabric of our culture. But it also includes real-world, physical, impacts, inclusive the terraforming program, of which man-made climate change is only a part. Now, previously I made mention of how our infrared signature is monitored from satellites in space, but I would also suggest that our phones are being used to transmit our infrared signature every few minutes, for the purpose of refreshing the data needed to alter our perceptions by synchronizing our sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous systems, our heart rate, and our bodily rhythms within the Panopticon. The goal of this infrared monitoring is to preserve us in a state of hyperarousal, to make us more suggestible to the pattern embedding of directed monologues within the background telecommunications data, video, audio and sound waves generated by the infrasound beacon generated through the train platforms distributed through populated areas. Finally, to continue our discussion initiated in the last episode, radium-226 exhibits nuclear decay, generating alpha particles. This nuclear decay is the product of the strong nuclear force just barely counterbalancing the electromagnetic repulsion created by protons within the nucleus. The triggering of an alpha decay event generates expulsion of the alpha particle, as the nucleus rebalances itself. This generates quantum tunneling of the alpha particle, which does not have sufficient energy to escape the barrier created by the electromagnetic field and the strong nuclear force. It just so happens that sometimes, in the ejection of an alpha particle from the nucleus, it passes via quantum tunneling beyond the barrier created between parallel worlds. Thus, these alpha particles, if entangled with other particles within the universe where they originated, can generate information transfer between parallel worlds. Now, it just so happens that human bodies contain small amounts of radium-226. It is absorbed through water, air and in our food, most especially crops, which are sometimes irradiated with it. This biological radium-226 present in our bodies is a carcinogen, because alpha particles can cause cancer, but it also represents an indigenous source of alpha particles which may originate within our body, and within parallel selves. A few points to add. Smoking, which relies on crops heavily irradiated by radium-226, increases one's body's absorbed radium-226, which makes one a more potent emitted. The more radium in one's body, the greater the ability of the body to generate alpha particles, and the more likely some of those alpha particles are able to pass across the barrier between parallel worlds. In other words, quantum entanglement, quantum tunneling, and alpha particle decay all play a role in the transmission of information between parallel universes, within biological spaces. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.